Good evening, everyone. I'll just take a minute to make sure everyone joining the lesson. And we're going to start our lesson very soon. All right. Good evening, Evelyn. Good evening, Luis. Good evening, Banu. Good evening, Maria. So we're going to start our lesson. Obviously, as I said, we're going to do the revision class today, and we will do one exam type of question. So as we already covered the books, so today we're going to practice one exam type of question because we want to see how many questions will be in the exam, how many marks we are expecting from which chapter, and how could basically we approach all these questions. So we're going to practice one full exam question today so that we can have an overview from the whole book and we have some ideas how can we answer in the exam, what type of question will become in the exam, how many marks will come from which chapter. That will give us a brief understanding today. So very, very important today's class. So make sure you try to concentrate every single area because you're going to start from the invoice and you're going to finish up to the trial balance. We'll practice every single area today. And after that, once we complete our lesson today, before we finish our lesson, we'll talk about the exam. So first, today we're going to start one of the AQA practice assessment that is from your AAT. So AAT give us some sample assessment and they said if you practice this type of question, so you will be okay in the exam. So you'll be ready for the exam. So we already covered the books. So we want to see if we try to do some exam type of question, how much you understand. So it's very, very important because in the exam, obviously you have to answer all the question. Doesn't matter how much you understand. We can understand more or less, but we need to know how we approach the question. And one more important thing is the chapter area. So which chapter is more important? When you see the more marks is coming from any chapter, for example, cash book, or maybe from the trial balance. So this type of chapter, when we expect more than 15 to 20 marks, so we have to put some extra attention for these chapters. So this is very important. So we will try to practice as detailed as possible. And if you have any question, of course, we'll discuss with that. All right, so I hope everyone joined in the lesson. So let's start our lesson today. So I have opened a question here that is from the question bank. And after today's lesson, I'm going to maybe send some more practice question. If I have anything to do, send it to you, I'll send it to you and you can practice. And of course, you have this question bank. The question bank, I have sent it to you, all of you. So we have a course book and we have a question bank. So we have two things. So question bank is all about the practice. So you try to do practice as much as possible. And if anyone don't have the practice question like the question bank, you let me know, I'll send it to you again. And from today, after today, your job will be just practice as much as possible before you do the exam. Okay, so let's start with our question number one. Let's read the question. It says bookkeeping transaction practice assessment 1. Okay. Introduction. The task in the assessment are set in different business situations where the following apply. All business use a manual bookkeeping system. Double entry take place in general ledger. Double entry take place in general ledger. Individual account of trade receivables and trade payable are kept in a sales and purchase ledger as a subsidiary ledger. So they said individual account. We have two types of account. One, we have individual account, one we have a total balance. So when I say individual account, I'm talking about one single supplier or one individual customer. For example, if I have a customer named Zoana, let's say I have a customer named Zoana. So in this customer, if I talk about how much is due from Zoana, so what happened? I'm going to open the subsidiary ledger or individual ledger for Zoana. So let's say the balance CD is 500. So that means from this customer, I'm expecting 500 pounds. She is my credit customer and I'm expecting 500 pounds from her because she buys something from me credit. She didn't make the payment yet, so she need to make the payment. Now I might have a lot of customer. So all these customer together. So let's say from Zoana 500, from Sepi, let's say we have another 1000, from Mohammed, let's say another 500. So when I talk about one person, this is called subsidiary ledger. When you talk about one person, one customer or one supplier, one individual person, this is called subsidiary ledger or individual ledger account. On the other hand, if I want to know how much is due from all the customer, for example, I have a 20 customers. So how much is due from all 20 customers? We called it sales ledger control. Sales ledger control. Sales ledger control. As soon as you see the word sales ledger control, that means all the credit customer inside of this account. But when I said subsidiary ledger or individual ledger, you need to understand I'm talking about only one customer. Okay, and of course, like remember one more thing, on the trial balance, when we take the information from the ledger account to the trial balance, we do not take the individual ledger or subsidiary ledger. If you have a pen and paper, you write it down. We don't take the subsidiary ledger or individual ledger to the trial balance. We only take the general ledger, that is the total balance. So you only take the total balance. For example, in the exam, they might give you Zuana, they might give you Sepi, and they might give you Mohammed. And after that, they give you the sales ledger control as well. So we only take the sales ledger control to trial balance, and these three we ignore because on trial balance we move only the general account balance, not the subsidiary. Okay. Then it said the cash book and the petty cash book should be treated as a part of double entry system unless the task instruction state otherwise. So if the question don't mention the petty cash and the cash book and the petty cash book, if the question don't tell us this is a book of prime entry, remember, if the question don't tell us clearly this is a book of prime entry, we always consider this is a part of general ledger. That means part of double entry system. So if the question don't tell us this is a book of prime entry, we always consider this is a part of general ledger. VAT rate is 20%. So even though the question don't say anything, we need to assume the VAT rate is always 20%. This is the instruction for before your exam started. So you read the instruction. So in the exam, when you do the exam, you don't have to read the instruction because instruction is same for every exam for the bookkeeping transaction. So any exam instruction will be same for this paper. So you don't have to read when you do this exam. So because you read now, we understand now, it will save you some time. So you don't have to read the same thing again. Okay, so now we move to the question, actual question. Let's move to task number 1. In task 1 for 12 marks, task 1, mainly the question comes from the invoice. In task 1, most of the time, 99% time, the question comes from the invoice, so calculation of the invoice. Let's have a look and try to do this question. We'll try everyone together so that we can practice the whole question together. So make sure you have a calculator with you so that we can do some workings and we can do some practice together. So once we've done this question, hopefully like you will have a revise of whole book. Okay, task 1, 12 marks. It's a sales invoice. A sales invoice is being prepared. A sales invoice is being prepared for goods supplied as shown in the customer order below. Now, sales invoice, as soon as we see the word sales invoice, we understand someone purchased from us on credit. So someone buy from me on credit. So I'm going to send a paper so that he can make the payment. And this paper is called invoice, isn't it? So when someone buys something from me on credit, he said, I'll pay you later. And after 1 week, 2 weeks, I send a reminder paper like, did you buy all of this from me? This is the discount. This is the price. Can you pay now? So this is the paper we call invoice. And this invoice we will send. So the invoice always sent by the seller to the buyer. Remember that. Invoice always sent to seller to buyer. So here I can prepare, I can see I'm preparing the sales invoice for goods supplied. Of course, if someone buys something from me, only that time I can send the invoice. As shown in the customer order, now I can see the customer order. What did he buy from me? I can see the customer name is JABC Limited. He is my customer. And order number this. And he's telling me, please supply 120 unit of product JBZ. It could be any product. It's just example. JBZ. It could be any product. The invoice date is 12 of March. Order date is 12 of March. So we can see here £3.60 each. Each of the unit, one unit price is 360, and he ordered 120 unit. But as a seller, we are also offering 7.5% trade discount. So 120 unit per unit is £3.60, and we're also giving 7.5% trade discount. Now, your manager said, we have an order from one of the customer. Can you prepare invoice? So he give you the order, this form, this page, and you have to prepare the invoice based on the customer order. So let's have a look. We said calculate the amount. Calculate the amount to be included on the invoice. So which amount will be included in the invoice? 4 marks question. 4 marks question. Let's have a look at that. So it says, the first one, it says net amount before the discount. Net amount before the discount. So this is called list price before the discount. So list price means net amount before the discount. It's very straightforward, isn't it? 120 unit times 3.6. 120 unit times 3.60. And that is give us 432. Okay, thank you, Farida. So it's 432. I'm checking for that. That's the net. Next question I have, net amount after the discount. Net amount after the discount. Now there is 2 ways to calculate the discount. You can minus the 7.5% from 432, or you can multiply 432 times what is the percentage remaining. For example, from 100, if I minus 7.5, that is 92.5%. So if I said 432 times 92.5%, it will give me the same result. But obviously, the way you're comfortable, you can do that way. So you can minus 7.5% from the total, or you can do multiplication straight away. Is up to you. So we said 399.60. Then the next question we have VAT. VAT, how much is the VAT? We know the VAT rate, that is 20%. VAT rate is 20%. So the VAT is 79.92. Okay, Banu. So 79.92, that's my VAT. And VAT plus the net, that gives me total, isn't it? So if I add it, 399.60 plus 79.92, that will gives me the total. So that is 479, okay, 479.52. Very well done. You can see this one is a 4 marks question, not very difficult to get this 4 marks, and it will not take too much time from you to score this 4 marks very easily. So all I need to do, I need to take the information here. So net amount before discount 432, after discount 399.60, VAT 79.92, and total 479.52. All right, so we got our 4 marks. So we move to the next question now. If you have any question, make sure you always ask so that we can discuss. Okay, this one is so simple. They're asking, like, once you make the invoice, they said, what will be the amount entered in the sales daybook when the invoice A has been prepared? So when your invoice is ready, you make the invoice, this is ready. Now, what information you're going to include on your sales daybook? Sales daybook is a book of prime entry, So obviously, when you send an invoice to someone, you record on your sales daybook as well, because you're expecting some money from this person. Until you get the money, he is your credit customer, he is your asset. So you write the same thing in the total. We're going to write 479.52. On the VAT column, we're going to write the same thing. We already calculated the VAT. That is how much? 79.92. And how much was the net? Is it 399? 399 point, what was that? Let me check. 399.60, okay. 399.60. Thank you, Muriel. Okay, so this one we have nothing to do, to be honest. So just copy the information from the invoice. So that will give us another 3 easy marks. So this too, you can see, this type of question will not take a long time. Sometimes I have seen some students, they become like bit stress in the exam. They feel like, how come this question too easy, just to copy the information? And they keep thinking, they think it is maybe a hard question, but it is actually not. You are doing level 2 accounting, so expecting all the basic stuff here. So you need to think very simple way. Don't think very complex way. You have a level 3, you have a level 4. There is upper level as well to think complexity, but here you always think very simple way. When the question answer is simple, it's simple. You don't have to really think why it is too simple. Okay, so let's move on to the next question we have. The next question we have here, let's read this question. Said, a check for £1,567. A check for £1,567 has been received from JABC. So you receive a check from this customer, JABC Limited, which they incorrectly state is in full settlement of the account at 28 February. The customer account in the sales ledger is shown below. They said this customer, JABC, he just paid me £1,567 check, and incorrectly on 28th February I said no money is due from this customer. I said the account is settled. I said it's a full settlement, so we don't expect any more money. But actually we have the sales ledger for this customer, subsidy ledger. So basically whatever money you have received, it is not the settlement of everything. The question asking the requirement, show which 3 transactions are still outstanding by cycling the relevant transaction below. So they're asking, is not everything settled? It's not a full settlement. Some transaction is still outstanding. So they're asking us to find it out. What is the scenario here? Scenario here is we have this sales day book and We received a check that is 1567, and we need to find it out after settle this payment, which three transaction is still outstanding. So let's try to find it out. Out of all this transaction, which one is still outstanding? Let's talk about the first one. 1st of February. 1st of February, the opening balance was 1349. So at the beginning of the month, I was expecting from JABC 1349. On 1st of February, I can see there is a credit note I issue to this customer. Now the first question is why I issue the credit note to that customer? And if I issue the credit note to that customer, are this customer going to pay for that? So this is the thing you have to understand. So we only issue the credit note when there is a return. And if there is a return, if the customer return to me, and if I issue the credit note, customer not going to pay for that amount. So out of this 1349 pounds, the customer not going to pay me 480 pounds because he returned this amount to me, this amount he returned to me, the product returned to me. So I'm not expecting this money. So how much I'm expecting from this transaction? 1349 minus 480. So I'm expecting from him, from the opening balance, 869. I'm expecting 869 from this customer based on the opening balance. And 4th of February, I can see he paid to my bank 869 pounds. So on my bank on 4th of February, he paid me 869. That means I can say this one, and this one is clear with him. So this three transaction is clear with this person. Then he buy again from me on 8th of February, that is 270 pounds. He buy again on 17th February, that is 1208 pounds. He buy again from me on 23rd of February, that is 391 pounds. And he buy again from me 28th February, that is 3420. And he returned twice, 32 and 110. So from all of this transaction, he paid me only 1567. So I need to find it out how he end up with this balance. So how come he paid me? For example, if any of your customer paid you 1560 pounds and he didn't say anything, for which invoice he paid to you, he didn't mention it. So you have to look for that, how he end up with this amount, 1567. So let's have a look. Now let's try with this two invoice, 270 and 1208. If I added this two, it doesn't look like 1500. It looks like 1400. So definitely he didn't added this two. So he didn't added this two. If he added this two, it should be more than 1500. And this two invoice looks like less than 1500. So I'm sure it is not this two invoice. Then if I try to add this two, this and that, it looks like 1500, 1208 plus 391. So let's check this two, 1208 plus 391. How much it is? Because I'm looking for how he paid me 1567. So I need to check all the item I have. So 1208 plus 391, that is 1599. 1599. 1599. Now it is still not matching. It is still not matching. So I can see he paid me 1567 and this two invoice give me 1599. So now I want to check, is there any credit note he minus? So I can see there is a credit note here. Credit note number 91 is 32 pounds. And it looks like if I minus that, that gives me exactly 1567. And now I understand how he ended up with this balance. So I understand now he added this to invoice and he minus this credit note and this balance 1567 he paid to me. So I can say now this one, and this one is clear. Now which three is still outstanding? Which three still he need to sort it? So I can say this one, and this one. This three still the customer need to sort it. This three still outstanding. So we can say invoice number 1223, invoice number 1281, and credit note 96. This three we're going to circle. We say this three is still outstanding. It's a bit tricky question, but please let me know you understand it. Because if you don't understand, I can explain again, but this question will be in the exam. And of course, I want all of you not to lose any marks from this question. And some students, they spend a lot of time on this question because they think this is a very tricky question. It is tricky, but if you know how to get it, it's not tricky. So you can get it answer in the exam. But you need to, if you know the steps, how you can end up the answers, so you can get it. All right, any question from here? No? Very good. Then let's move on to the next point. Then let's move on to the next question. This question is says, a quotation to supply good for 3550. A quotation to supply good for 3550 plus VAT. That means we have to add the VAT. The VAT is not inside. Has been sent to JABC Limited offering a prompt discount 2% for the payment within 10 days. So they are saying if you pay me within 10 days, I'll give you 2% discount. What will be the amount JABC will pay if the purchase the good and pay within 10 days? So if the customer pay me within 10 days, how much money we have expecting from this customer? How much money we are expecting from this customer? It's a very simple calculation. All you need to do, so we need to add the VAT and minus the 2%. So we have this amount that is net 3550. We add the VAT, that is 20%. How much is the VAT? 3550 times 20%, 710. So 710 is the VAT. If I added this two, that will be 4260. 4260. And if I give the 2% discount, that means 98% of that, that will be 4174. Very well done, Luis. Very well done, Najiza. Very well done. So this one will be 4174. 4174.80. Remember, if the quotient said plus, that means we have to add the VAT. And if the quotient already gave you the VAT, for example, it said 3550 plus VAT 200. So don't calculate the VAT. If the quotient give you already VAT, you just add this two. You don't have to calculate 20% again. If the quotient said 3550 plus VAT 200, so you add 200. They already calculated the VAT for you. You don't have to do it again. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to task number 2. On task 2 for 9 marks, let's read this question. This question is all about checking the accuracy of the documents. Checking the accuracy of the documents. This is very, very important because when you make the order, you receive the invoice after a few weeks. For example, you call today one of the suppliers and you talk over the phone and you said, I want this, and the supplier said, okay, this is the one I have, this is the one I have. And after that, the supplier, you said, can I have some discount? And the supplier said, don't worry, I'll give you 10% discount. And if you pay within 30 days, I'll give you another 5% prompt discount. He said everything over the phone, and you make the order. And you make the order, you have the order confirmation. On the order confirmation, you have everything like what he said. Now, when you receive the invoice, actual invoice from the supplier, and you see whatever supplier said to you when you make the order, he didn't keep the commitment. So he charged you more. Either he sent you more product, either he sent you less product. Sometimes he said, I'll give you 10% trade discount. He gave you 5% trade discount. He said, I'll give you prompt discount. He didn't give you the prompt discount. So what happened? That's why once you receive the invoice from the supplier, you hold the invoice on one hand and you hold the order in another hand. You look at the order and you look at the invoice. So you try to match one by one. So you look at the order and look at the invoice. So it has to be exactly match whatever you order. It has to match with the invoice, because when you order, maybe you forget, you make a lot of order every day. So every order have an order number. So you look at the order number and you try to match. For the invoice he charged, he didn't charge you anything extra, or he charged you for the right amount with the right quantity with the right discount. This is called checking the accuracy of the documents. Let's have a look. This question we have. So this question we have here, we are checking the accuracy. We can see we have a purchase order and we receive invoice. Remember, you don't look at the invoice, then look at the purchase order. We look at the purchase order first, then we look at the invoice. What is the question here? The question here is identify any discrepancies on the invoice by drawing a line from each left-hand box to the appropriate right-hand box. They're asking, find it out, is there any difference between the order and the invoice? So let's read the order first. P. Hill, order number P0432 to ABC Limited, 10th of April. Please supply 400. Please supply 400 product code LL29. Very important, the product code, because I order something, you send me the wrong product. Quantity 120 per unit, 120 pence, less 5% trade discount. As agreed, the terms of payment are 3% discount for the payment by the end of the month. So the supplier told me, if you can pay me by the end of the month, I'll give you more 3% discount. This is the commitment I have with this supplier. Now let me see what he charged for this order. On the invoice, I can see 450. I didn't order 450, isn't it? I ordered literally 400, but he sent me 400. Okay, so we ordered 400. Just give me a second. I think one student just didn't receive the link. All right, that's fine, no problem. So we ordered 400, but they send me 450. They charge me for 450. Okay. The product code I can see LL29 and order they send me LL29. That's perfect. No problem for that. Then I have the unit price 1.20. That's fine. So I can see here there is a problem. There is a problem here. Then they said 5% trade discount on the invoice. I don't see the 5% trade discount. He didn't give me any discount. So there is a problem for the trade discount. And they said 3% prompt discount. I don't see any 3% prompt discount. They just said pay monthly, net pay monthly account. They didn't say anything about the discount. Okay, now let's find it out. What is the discrepancies? Let's do it together. The first one we have terms of the payment. It's showing the terms, but it is not correct, isn't it? It's showing the terms, it is not correct. So terms of the payment, we have three options. Not showing on the invoice, incorrectly shown on the invoice, correctly shown on the invoice. So we have to choose one. We have to choose the right one. So terms of the payment, what we can see here, it's showing on the invoice, but it's showing incorrectly showing on the invoice. So it's showing on the invoice, but showing incorrectly. Okay. The next one we have VAT rate. VAT rate on the invoice, we can see the VAT rate, and that is basically correctly showing on the invoice. correctly shown on the invoice. Then the next one we can see here, trade discount. Trade discount, and the trade discount is not showing on the invoice at all. He didn't give me any trade discount at all. So trade discount not showing on the invoice. Then we have a quantity. So quantity, I order 400 and he charged me for 450. So the quantity is incorrectly shown on invoice. Quantity incorrectly shown on the invoice. So that's easy question, very easy. You can see it's 4 marks question. This is normally in the exam. And if this question comes in the exam, you know how to do it now. All right, let's move on to the next question we have. The next question we have here. The invoice below has been received from Benton PLC. So we receive an invoice from someone. So the first question is why we receive the invoice. The reason we receive the invoice because we buy something on credit. We purchase something on credit, and this is the reason we are receiving the invoice. Now, the requirement here is says record the invoice in the appropriate day book. Okay, so when we receive the invoice from the seller, which book I'm going to record? When I receive the invoice, because I purchase, and for me it is a purchase, isn't it? So if I make a purchase, which book I'm going to record? All the credit purchase we record to the purchase day book. All the credit purchase we record on the purchase day book. So this is a purchase, credit purchase. I received the invoice. The question will be tricky. They said you received the invoice, so you have to understand why I received the invoice, because I make a purchase, and that's why I received the invoice. And if I make a purchase, all my credit purchase, where I record on the purchase day book, and we're going to record purchase day book. Purchase day book. Very well done, Luis. Very well done, Tamir. So let's move on to the next question. Okay, so they are asking to just record it on the purchase day book. So this is the purchase day book, and from here we need to write the Benton PLC we received from Benton PLC, and we're going to write the total amount. That's very simple question, just to copy. 256. VAT is 42.75, and the net is 213. This is the way we record on the purchase day book. All right, so let's move on to the next point we have. Worksheet task number 3. This is for 9 marks. This question is from the statement of account. This question is from the statement of account. The statement of account is a very common area you're going to see in the exam. Very, very common. So to make sure you understand this question, that is from the statement of account. What is statement of account? Statement of account is basically the summary of the transaction, summary of your transaction between the seller and the buyer, and the seller send it to the customer. So the supplier send it to the customer and telling like, listen, see, for the whole month you buy from me all of this, and you paid this and you return this everything. So statement of account sent by the supplier to the customer. Now doesn't mean I receive a statement of account from the supplier and I'm going to pay the same amount. The answer is no, I'm not going to pay whatever the supplier asking for. I'll never listen to the supplier statement of account. I always look at my book. That is my purchase ledger. That is my purchase ledger. I always look at my book, and according to my record, how much I'm supposed to pay, I always pay that amount to the supplier. But if there are any adjustment I need to make, I will check it. For example, if any item that is not matching with my book to the supplier book, then I make the adjustment for that. I recorded it, then update my book, but I always paid from based on my book record. Remember that. Okay, let's read this question. It said it is a policy of Cross PLC to check a statement of account when they received and pay only those transactions. Have a look this word. Pay only those transactions. So you pay only those transactions that are included in the supplier account in the purchase ledger. So you record only those transactions that are recorded in the purchase ledger. That means this is your book. This is the amount of DBL Limited. This is the account of DBL Limited in the purchase ledger and the statement of account received from them. Okay, that's fine. So here's my supplier. DBL is my supplier. This is the record I keep. That's the purchase ledger. And they send me this one, statement of account. So as I said, we always follow our book when I make the payment. Let's have a look what is the question. So we can see the first question here. The first question here it says, please tick next to the 3 item in the statement of account. Let me have a look. So please tick next to the 3 item in the statement of account that are not to be paid because they are missing from the purchase ledger or the supplier account. So they're asking in the statement of account, on the statement of account, try to find 3 items that I'm not going to pay. Try to find 3 items that I'm not going to pay. Why? Because this is missing from my book. Which one is my book? This one. This is missing out my book. Let's have a look. Which one is missing? So let's check with this one. 150. I can see here 150. 462. I can see 462. 9216. I can see 9216. 129. This one I don't see in my book, isn't it? So if it is not in my book, I'm not gonna pay for that. Then I have 1187. I don't see 1187. So I'm not gonna pay for that as well. And 1543. Yes, I can see 1543 in my book. And the last one, 3926. I don't see 3926 on my book. So this 3 transaction is not matching with my book. So I'm not going to consider this 3 figure. Not going to consider this 3 item because it is not on my record. So this is question number 1. Let's have a look. What is question number 2? Question number 2 is saying, what will be the amount paid? What will be the amount paid? How much are you going to pay? So remember one more thing. Some student in the exam, they got confused. They think this question is also linked to this. Never this question linked to this. Always remember your question is always in the top and the requirement is the bottom. So for this question answer, you never look bottom. The question answer you're going to find from the top. Don't be confused in the exam. Okay, so this is how much will be paid. So how much I'm going to pay, it will be depend how much is on my book. So let's have a look. How much is my book said? Now this is a purchase ledger. This is a purchase ledger, and according to the purchase ledger, what happened? We will record all the liability on the credit side, and any money paid or returned is on the debit side. So I'm going to add it all of this, and I'm going to minus these 2 to find it out how much actually due to the supplier, how much you're going to pay. It's like the T account exactly. So all the credit side is a liability for the purchase ledger control or purchase ledger, and any money you paid is on the debit side. You find the balance CD. So you added all of this and minus the credit note and minus how much you already paid, because credit note means I have returned this to my supplier, so I'm not going to pay for that. And the bank means I already paid this money, so I'm not going to pay for that. Of course, like the remaining balance will be I need to pay it. Very well done, Warner. So is this 11,071? Okay, so let's do that. 11,071. This is the money I'm going to pay. 11,071. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. On the next question, we can see here it says, this is the account of Stone PLC. This is the account of Stone PLC in the purchase ledger and a credit note that has been received from the supplier but not yet entered in their account. Again, this is a supplier account. That means it's a liability account. That means I have to pay to my supplier. Now my supplier send me a credit note. My supplier send me a credit note, and credit note always basically what happened because of the credit note, my total outstanding balance to my supplier, total liability always goes down because of that. So this credit note I didn't enter yet. I received the credit note from the supplier, but I did not enter yet on this book. That's my purchase ledger. On this book, I did not enter it yet. So how much is the credit note? 198. Okay. What is the requirement here? Number C, they said, what will be the amount to be paid to Stone PLC once the credit note has been entered in the account? So after entering this credit note here on this side, how much money are we going to pay to the Stone PLC? So let's enter this one. Credit note 198. So we recorded the credit note now. Now we're going to see how much money is still outstanding to this supplier, Stone PLC. So how we do that? The same way we added all the credit side, minus this, and minus this. That will tell us how much is still outstanding to that supplier. Very well done, Sepi. Very well done, Banu. Very well done, Tamina. So we have 2, 2, 3, 3. Very good. Very well done. So credit note always reduce the liability. If it is a sales ledger control, that means it is a customer account, let's say sales ledger, then our opening balance, all of this will become in the debit side, and all of this will come to the credit side. Remember that. When it is a purchase ledger control, opening balance start from the credit side is a liability. When it is an asset, is all debit side, is opposite. Purchase ledger and the sales ledger is opposite. So make sure you're very careful with the book name. So don't just see the book and complete it. So try to identify, is it a purchase ledger or is it a sales ledger? Okay. Then we have the next one. This one is all about, we can see the two invoice here. Invoice 1, invoice 2. Okay. Let's read this one. We have two invoices. We can see invoice number. First one, Baker PLC, invoice number, invoice date is 5th of July. Okay. Then 45 product code this, VAT this, and total this. Okay. We have another invoice that is Goodwin Limited. Invoice date is again same 5th of July. Okay. Invoice total amount 3180. All right. What is the question? Let's see the terms. The terms here is 2% discount if pay within 10 days. So 2% within 10 days for the Baker PLC and 2.5% within 14 days. Which day? From the date of invoice. From the date of invoice. That means 5th of July. 5th of July. Okay, let's see the question. Calculate the amount to be paid to each supplier if the discount is taken. So if I pay within on time, if I took the discount, how much money I'm going to pay, and show the date by which date the supplier should receive the payment. So if I want to take the discount, how much I'm going to pay, and by which date I have to make the payment. So let's talk about first the Baker PLC. Baker PLC. So Baker PLC is 1350. So if I want to take the discount, that is 2% discount. So I'm gonna minus the 2% or I'm gonna multiply by 98%. So from 1350, I'm gonna minus 2% or I can multiply by 98%. It will give me the same figure. That is 1323, okay, 1323. And the date, from the invoice date, I have 10 days. So 5 is the invoice date, and I'm going to add 10 more days. So that will be 15th of July. So from the invoice date, I have 10 more days. That will be 15th of July. 15th July. Then the next one we have Goodwin Limited. Goodwin Limited is the same story. So same way just we done for the baker, we're gonna do same for the Goodwin as well. So we said 3100.5 and 19 July. Very well done. Very well done, Nazia. 15 July. All right, so we have any question from here, from this two question. This question will be in the exam. It's very easy, so don't lose any marks. It's a 4 marks question. Don't lose any marks from here. All right, so that's it. Let's move on to the next question then. Question number 4. Let's talk about question number 4. In question number 4, we have a question that is from cash book. You see it is a 15 marks question. 15 marks question. Make sure you've done really well this question. 15 marks from the cash book. So you take cash book really seriously. So do some more practice from the cash book area, because this cash book will give you 15 marks alone. Okay, let's read this question. We can see this one, cash book debit side. Cash book debit side, all about how much money into the business. Money in. How much money came into the business, we record it to the cash book debit side. Now in the cash book debit side, we have a 2 column, cash column and bank column. If we receive the money in the form of cash, if we receive cash, we record in the cash column. If we receive money on the bank or we receive the check, we record on the bank column. Then one more thing we have here, trade receivables and cash sale. Trade receivables means the credit customer who paid to me now. So I make a credit sale, but the customer paying me now. This is called trade receivables, like a sales ledger control. On the other hand, the cash sale means I didn't know this person, I'm just making a sale now. If I make a sale now, this is called cash sale. And when there's a cash sale, we have to pay the VAT. When there's a cash sale, we have to pay the VAT. When there's a credit sale, trade receivables, we don't pay the VAT, because this transaction didn't happen today. We already paid the VAT before. He's just paying to me now, so I'm not going to pay the VAT. So trade receivables or credit customer, no VAT. Cash transaction, that is a VAT, because I never paid VAT before, I have to pay the VAT. Now, don't be confused in one thing. Sometimes some students, they think if the money come to the bank, there is no VAT. If the money come to the cash, there is a VAT. This is absolutely wrong. Doesn't matter money come to the bank, it doesn't matter money come to the cash, as long as you know this is a credit transaction, there is no VAT. If there is a cash transaction, there is a VAT. Okay, let's try this question. The two amounts shown below have been received from the customers are ready to enter in the cash book. So we have purchase and we have a receipt. 1st of August, okay. An amount 474 will be transferred to your bank account today by BACS in the full settlement of June account. So basically the amount was outstanding in June and I'm paying in August. So it is a cash transaction or it is a credit transaction. So the transaction happened in June and the customer paying me now. So it is a cash transaction or a credit transaction. This is a credit transaction. It's very important to understand, because if it is a credit transaction, I don't pay the VAT again. So that's why it is very, very important to understand that. So we said, the first one, we said Burgess retail, I'm writing BR. The amount we receive in the bank, so I'm writing in the bank column 474. And it will go to the trade receivables, 474. And there is no VAT. Okay, the next one. The next one is said, check for 1,000. So check for 1,000 and obviously said cash. We receive a check for 1,000 and we receive cash 326. So total we have received 1,326. So received from Alba PLC for the goods supplied today. We supply the goods today. And 1,326 is including VAT. So inside of the 1,326, there is a portion of VAT as well. So what type of transaction it is? Is it a cash transaction or it is a credit transaction? That's it. Remember that, don't be confused. This one, they said, the goods supplied today. That means I didn't know this person before. I just know him today. So if I know him today, and if he paid to me immediately, so what type of customer he is? So if I know him today, for example, if you go to Tesco, if you buy something and paid for that immediately, so obviously Tesco don't know you before, so he's your cash customer. This is not your credit customer. Credit customer means the customer buys something from you now and pay you later. Please don't be confused because it's a lot of marks. So make sure you understand the concept. Doesn't matter money come to the bank, doesn't matter money come to the cash. Don't worry about where the money come in. This is not relevant. It's relevant is it a cash transaction or credit transaction? This is the relevant thing. So for the Alba PLC, ALBA, so we received £1,000 on the bank and 326 on the cash. We're writing both columns, but this is a cash transaction. Doesn't matter money come by cash or bank. Don't consider that. Okay, there's a 1,326 inside. There is a VAT. How can I take out the VAT? And you remember? So if the VAT is inside, how we get the VAT? So we have a formula. We divide by 6. We divide by 6 to get the VAT. So 1,326 divided by 6, that will give me my VAT. So how much will be the VAT here? 1,326 divided by 6, that is 221. Very well done, Sepi. So 221, that's my VAT. So VAT 221, if I minus the VAT from here, how much is the net? So 1,326 minus 221, my net will be 1105. 1105. Very well done. That's the end of the question. Now we need to add all these columns. So let's add the cash column. Always when you add the cash column, make sure you take the opening balance as well. Always take the opening balance. So here 183 plus 326. 183 plus 326. That is 509. 509. Then we have 3220 plus 474 plus 1000. That is 4694. So we need this to figure. Other figure we need to add, but it is not too much relevant to us. So let's remember this two figure, 509 and 4696. Because let me write it down here. So cash on the debit side, we have 509, and bank on the debit side, we have 4694. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to the next question here. The next point we have here says the credit side of the cash book, the credit side of the cash book shows total cash payment during the week is 305. 342. So on the debit side, our cash book debit side, we have 509, and on the credit side, we make a payment 342. The question here is how much cash is left? Calculate the cash balance. How much cash is left over? Remember, if the question asks for the balance, all you need to do debit minus credit. That's it. Debit minus credit. And one more thing you need to remember, cash cannot be go minus. It's impossible. Whatever you have, you spend more than that. You can only spend up to the amount that you have. You cannot spend more than you have. For example, here we have 509. We can spend maximum 509. So we cannot go more than that. So cash book always will be the debit balance because we cannot spend more than we have. We can go up to zero, but not minus. But in the bank, whatever money you have, we can go beyond that because I can use the overdraft. For example, on my bank, I have received 2,000, but I have used 3,000. So how come I use 3,000? Because I end up with 1,000 overdraft. Let's have a look at this one. The credit side of the cash book shows total bank payment during the week were 1743. So we paid 1743. And how much we have received on the bank? 4694. The question is how much is the leftover on the bank? 2951. 2951. That's the debit minus credit. Debit minus credit always give you the balance, how much is the leftover. This question always come in the exam cash book. So very, very careful. 15 marks question. Don't lose not a single marks from this chapter. All right, let's move to the next one. The next question we have here from the petty cash. From the petty cash. Now the petty cash, you already know what is petty cash. Let's read this question. So an organization restored the petty cash impress level 175 on the last day of each month. So company have a policy to restore. So they want to keep 175 last day of the month. So for example, for the month of January, so 31st of January, they make sure 175 is on the petty cash box. The next month, February, they want to make sure like 175 is the closing balance. So basically, they want to keep this money on the box so that the next month the amount is start with 175. So this is the company policy. At the beginning of the month, they always want to keep 175. They want to keep using from there. They want to keep using from there until it is finished or until it is come down. Then when the month is end, they go to the bank, they withdraw some money and make 175 again. Okay, let's read this question. So at the beginning of the month, we can see we have 175 and we have spent all this money for this 30 pound, this 46 pound, for this 37 pound, for this 15 pound. Okay, let's read the question. The first question here is, what will be the entry in the petty cash book to restore the impress level on 31st of August? How much money we need? How much money we need to make 175 again? So whatever we have spent, if I withdraw the same money from the bank, then I'll be again 175, isn't it? So from 175, I use 30, 46, 37, and 15. So if I withdraw the same money from the bank, then it will be again 175. So if I added all of this, that will give me how much money I need to restore to make the impress level again to 175. So whatever you have spent, if you withdraw the same amount, that will give you the impress level again. For example, if I tell you you have 100 pounds, if I tell you if you have 100 pounds and you spend 50, and if I tell you how much money you need to go back 100 again, so you have 50 left. So this 50, whatever I have spent it, if I bring 50 again, then it's going to be 100 again, isn't it? So whatever I have spent it here, if I bring the same amount from the bank, then it will be again same amount. So I need 130. This is the amount I have used. And this is, of course, petty cash is always our asset. This is our debit. This is the money actually come from the bank. And this is the cash we have in the box. So cash is always our asset. Okay, so move on. The next one we have here. What will be the entry? What will be the entry in the petty cash book to record the closing balance on 31st of August after the interest level has been restored? So how much will be the new amount of 31st of August? 31st of August, what will be Nazia? Because now we already added 130, isn't it? So how much will be the new balance? Our plan is at the end of the month, we always want to keep how much? 175. That's the plan, isn't it? Our plan is always want to keep 175. So we said balance CD, the closing balance CD, 175. So this closing balance, it will be our what? Debit or credit? That will be our closing balance, always credit, because this money will moving from here to the next month. So for example, for the month of January, if there is a balance CD 175 pound, that's a closing, that will be moving other side as opening balance BD 175. So you're taking from here and just moving to the other. All right, so let's move on. The next one. The next one, it says, what will be the total of the VAT column in the petty cash book? It's a very simple question. We just need to add the VAT. So let's find it out. How much is the VAT column on the petty cash book? So we have the VAT 5.11, 7.75, 6.20. If I added this, how much will be the total VAT? 19.06. Okay, so 19.06 will be our VAT amount. 19.06. All right, the next one we have here. On 2nd September, the petty cash voucher below are ready to be entered. So we have a 2 petty cash voucher and it is ready to be entered in the record. Petty cash voucher 317, petty cash voucher 318. The first one we have here, parcel delivery to customer by courier. Parcel delivery to customer by courier is a postage cost 4155 plus VAT. The next one we have key for the car park gate. Key for the car park gate. This is not very usual expense, so we don't have any category for that. This one will go to miscellaneous expenses. Okay, this is not the regular expense. We don't make the key for the car every day. 3528 including VAT. That means VAT is inside, divide by 6 plus VAT at 20%. Okay, let's do this one then. The first one, 317, number 317. How much will be the total? 41.55 times 20% VAT. So if I added that, how much will be that? So 49.86. Okay, thank you, Evelyn. 49.86. And the net is, of course, we know 4155. And the VAT is how much here? 8.31. Okay, that's it. The next one we have 318. This is the total 35.28 because the VAT is inside. So how much is the VAT inside? 35.28 divided by 6. That will give us how much is the VAT inside. 5.88. And how much will be the net? So total minus the VAT, that will give us the net 29.4. Thank you, Vanu. 29.40. That's it. So that's the question for the petty cash. Let's move on. The last bit we have. The last bit we have here. That is, so which analysis column in the petty cash book will be used to record the net amount of the petty cash payment in D? So what we recorded in D, which analysis column we're going to take? So for the number 317, it is the parcel delivery. So it looks like postage and carriage. The postage and carriage. So postage and carriage. And for the 318, for the car key gate, this is not the normal thing, as I said. This is not very regular expense. It will go to the miscellaneous expenses. That's it for the petty cash. Let's move on to the next question we have. Okay, the next question we have posting to the day book. So which day book we are doing here? Discount allowed day book. So when I see the discount allowed day book, the first question we have to ask ourselves, is a discount allowed is income or expense? Discount allowed, discount we allow to the customer. We cannot receive the discount. We give discount to the customer. When we give the discount to the customer, this is a expense for us. So if the discount allowed is the expense, so discount allowed is a debit or credit for us. If the discount allowed is the expense, then also discount allowed will be debit for us, because this is our expense. And expense is always debit. So the amount is how much discount we give, the net amount. Remember that, the net amount, 425. Then if we give the discount, customer going to pay us less. So we're not going to pay VAT on the full amount. So our VAT will be reduced. So our VAT will be also debit, 85. Because if the customer don't pay me full amount, for example, if I tell a customer, listen, the price was £100, but I'll give you a £20 discount, you pay me £80. So this £20, whatever is the VAT, I'm not going to pay this VAT to HMRC, because customer never pay VAT on the discount. So I'm going to say this VAT, whatever discount I give to my customer, I'm not going to pay VAT for that. So I'm going to say VAT is also expense. I'm going to claim on the debit side as input VAT. So VAT liability goes down. That's also debit. And the final question is, because of the discount, customer going to pay me more or less? If I give a discount to my customer going to pay me less money. So I have a name for the customer, isn't it? All the credit customer together, I have a name for them. So I call them sales ledger control. All the credit customer, I call them sales ledger control. So because of the discount, my customer going to pay me £510 less. My customer going to pay me £510 less because I give them the discount. So normally the sales ledger control is debit. So if I want to reduce it, if I want to make it down, I make it opposite. I make it now credit, 510. So because of the discount, my customer going to pay me £510 less, and I make them credit. Because of that, my total customer balance will go down by 510. So I'm going to write here, discount allowed amount 425, that is debit, VAT 85 debit, sales ledger control 510 credit. All right, so that's good. Let me know if you have any question. Okay, so let's move to this one. It says one of the entries in the discount allowed day book is for a credit note sent to Jackson Jones for 70 plus VAT. So basically, I give a discount to a customer. His name is Jackson Jones. And how I give the discount? I send him a credit note. So this is the individual account. How do I know? This is a sales ledger account. As soon as I see the sales ledger, I understand is the individual is a one-person account. When I see a sales ledger control, I understand this account for all the credit customers. This for one person. When there's one person, I'm going to write his name, Jackson Jones. And how much the amount I'm going to give the discount? I say 70 plus VAT. That is 20%. That should be 12. So 12 plus 70, that is 12 or 14. 70 times 20%, that is 14, yes. So that should be 84. Very well done, Seppi. So 84. And because of the discount, my customer, Jackson Jones, he's going to pay me more or less. He's going to pay me less. So if he's going to pay me less, here's my debit. He's my credit customer. He's normally my debit. If he's going to pay me less, I'm going to make him now credit because he's going to pay me now less. So I'm going to make him credit. Remember that he normally is my debit. He's my credit customer. But because of the discount, his balance will go down. And if I need to make it down, I need to make the opposite entry. So I need to make it credit. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Actually, let's take a break because we are already in task number 7. And of course, we have up to 10 tasks. Hopefully, we can finish. We have a lot of time. So let's take a break, half an hour. We'll come back around 7:50 after 30 minutes. And we'll start from task number 7. And we'll complete the task very slowly with a very detailed explanation. And after that, we'll talk about the exam. So let's take a break, half an hour. I'll see you in half an hour time. And of course, everyone write it down your name for the attendance so that you will get the access for the video of this lesson. The admin team can find you and give you the access for the video. I'll see you in 30 minutes time. All right, welcome back. So let's move on to our next question. That is task 7 for 12 marks. And this one, how to move information from the cash book to the general ledger. You can see here task 7 is for 12 marks. And let's read this question. This question is saying, these are the total of the cash book at the end of the month. These are the total of the cash book at the end of the month. So we have a cash book, and we know the cash book have a two sides. We have a debit side and we have a credit side. So left-hand side, you have a debit side. So this side is a debit side, and the right-hand side is our credit side. So we need to move all this information to the general ledger. If you remember at the beginning of the question, the question said, unless the question is specified, so cash book and the petty cash book, cash book and the petty cash book, cash book and petty cash book, both will be treated as a part of double entry system. That means part of GL. So that means the book of prime entry, the first section is already done. That means the first section is already done. So that means the book of prime entry only recorded the cash and bank. This is already done. We are talking about now general ledger. So the difference, if you remember from our chapter number, I think 10, or from there, when we done this information, when we moved the information to the ledger account, we said, if the question said it is a part of general ledger, we don't take the cash and bank. We ignore the cash and bank. So for this question, you're going to do the same. We'll ignore cash and bank. So cash and bank, we're going to ignore. So So you're not going to take the cash and you're not going to take the bank because this is a part of general ledger. Part of general ledger means the book of prime entry is already done. Part of general ledger means the book of prime entry already done, and we are talking about part of general ledger. So book of prime entry means taking everything. Part of general ledger means cash and bank, we don't have to take it because it's a part of general ledger. Now let's take the other entries we have. We have trade receivables, we have VAT, we have trade payable, and we have cash purchase. So all of this we have. So let's have a look what we're going to take, what we're not going to take. So trade receivables, we called it sales ledger control. 16,370 trade receivables. Now the next question is it a debit or it is a credit? Trade receivables or sales ledger control is a credit customer. Normally this is a debit. Very, very careful, Nazia, for this question. This is normally a debit, but for the cash book purpose, it will be credit. I'll explain why. Normally this is our debit, but for the cash book purpose, this is our credit. I'll tell you why. So let's say I have a sales ledger control that is debit. That means I'm expecting some money. I'm expecting some money from the credit customer, but cash book means something is already done. Remember that cash book means something is already done. That means the customer already paid. So if I see on my cash book 16,370, that means this amount already paid by the customer. So this is not my asset anymore. He is not my debit anymore. For example, if I still said you are my asset, you are my debit, my customer will be very, very angry. My customer will tell me, listen, I already paid the money to you. I'm not your asset anymore. So can you please remove my name from the asset? So if I want to remove him, he was my debit before. So I'm going to say sales ledger control credit. So debit and credit will cancel each other. So debit and credit will cancel each other. So that's why this will be our credit. So sales ledger control, normally this is our asset, but when I take the information from the cash book, that time this is my credit. Please remember that because the customer already paid, he's not my asset anymore, he's not debit anymore. Then we have a VAT. VAT on the credit side. That means I paid this VAT 59, that's my expense, that's my debit. Then I have a trade payable, that is purchase ledger control 9942. So this is the opposite of the sales ledger control. So this money I already paid to my supplier. It's not outstanding. I already paid. Cash book means something is already done. So here the purchase ledger control will be debit. Normally purchase ledger control is credit because it's a liability. But when I see from the cash book, when I move the information from the cash book, that is not my liability anymore because I already paid. Cash book is all about is done, is nothing pending. Cash book means nothing is outstanding. Then the last one I have cash purchase. Cash purchase, that is 295 and is expense as debit. So remember, very careful with this question. It's 7 marks question, easy question, but tricky question. If you don't understand it, you might lose all the marks. So make sure you take this question very carefully, especially for the cash book. All right, so let's move on to our next task, task number 8. On task 8, we can see for the 12 marks question, we have a 2 ledger account. We can see here we have a loan from the bank and we have office equipment. We have 2 ledger account. Let's say the following 2 accounts are general ledger at closure day of 31st October. This is the last day of the month. Okay. So loan from the bank is a liability. Loan from the bank is a liability. That's the opening balance on the credit side. I can see on the bank is 10,000. That means I took more loan. So at the beginning, I have a loan 26,000 and I took loan again 10,000. And on the opposite side, I can see I paid loan 1,270. So the question will ask me how much is the loan left. So we know how to do it. Balance CDBD, same story. So adding these two minus this one will give me how much loan is outstanding. On the next one, we have office equipment. Office equipment is a asset. So of course, it is our opening balance will be on the debit side. So you can see opening balance on the debit side. And after that, we buy more office equipment by paying from the bank. So adding more office equipment, again, debit. And we have adjustment through journal 200. So I'm going to minus that. So this plus this minus this will tell me how much office equipment balance we have. So let's read the question now. What is the requirement here? On the requirement is say what will be the balance brought down at 1st November each account. So they're asking for the opening balance. This is 31st October. They're asking for the next day, the opening balance. So let's do the loan from the bank first. How much will be the opening balance for the loan from the bank? How much will be the opening balance? Loan from the bank. All I need to do, we need to add these two and minus 1270. So 35,455, okay. 35,455. And this is my debit or credit? Loan from the bank always is a liability, and this is our credit balance. That's our credit. The next one we have here, office equipment. Office equipment. And office equipment we can see here, opening balance 13,924 plus 865 minus the adjustment 200, and this is 14,589. 14,589, and that's my debit because that's my asset. Very well done, Nazia. Very well done, Banu. So this is the question normally come in the exam. Make sure you understand it really well and you answer in the exam very well. Okay, so we have a next question, number B. Say complete the account below by inserting the balance carried down together with the details. So they're asking for the balance carried down. Balance carried down means balance CD. Then insert the total, they're asking for the total amount and the balance brought down, that means balance BD. So that's the simple question. They're just asking for balance CD and BD. Do you remember what is the date for balance CD? What is the date we use for balance CD? If we have a balance CD, which date will you use? Balance CD is the last day of the month, isn't it? Last day of the month. And the balance BD or balance brought down, balance BD is the first day of the next month. First day of the next month. Very well done. Okay, let's do this question then. So if you remember that, it's not going to be difficult. You see it's a 8 marks question. There's nothing here just to do the balance CD and BD. How we do the balance CD BD? The first thing we look for the higher side. So you can see the debit side looks higher, isn't it? This side looks higher. So all we need to do, we need to add it the higher side. So let's add the higher side, 14,264 plus 977. So 14,264 plus 977, that is 15,241. 15 on the total column, we're going to write 15,241. And we're going to copy the same amount. We're going to copy the same amount on the other side as well. We're going to copy the same amount, 15,241. This is the same way we do balance CDBD for every single ledger account. So remember that it will help you to do others, and this question will be always in the exam to identify balance CD and BD. So we're writing the higher side on the both sides, and after that we find the difference on the shortest side. So this two I'm going to minus to find the balance CD. So 15,241 minus 1525 minus 3714. That will give me my balance CD. So the difference is 10002. Thank you, Farida. So that's my balance CD. Balance CD. And we need to insert the date. It is October month. So what will be the date for the balance CD? So we'll take the last day of the month. So we're going to write 31st of October. 31st October. And after that, this balance CD will come opposite side as the balance BD. So I'm going to write balance BD, same amount like balance CD, 10002. And the date for the balance BD is opening balance. That will be the first day of the next month, and that will be 1st of November. This is very easy question, but in the exam I have seen a student they stop on this question. There is nothing to understand from this question. If you know how to do the balance CDPD, end of the story. There is no complexity for this question, and there is the easy marks, 8 marks. I think it will take 2 to 3 minutes to complete this question. So if you know it, there is no complexity, no adjustment, nothing to read, just to the balance CDPD and insert the date. I hope everyone will do this question very well in the exam. Okay, let's move to the next one. Text number 9. In this question, they're asking, some balances have been entered in the partially prepared trial balance. Partially prepared trial balance means the trial balance is not complete yet. Partially made is not full complete. Partially done, that means it's not fully completed yet. Insert the total amount of the debit side and the credit side. It's very easy question. They're asking just to insert the total of debit and total of credit. So all you need to do, you need to add this, this, and this, this, and this. So we're going to write the total debit and the total credit. Sometimes some students, they get confused because it's not matching. And they thought, why the trial balance is not matching? It will not going to match because it's a partial trial balance. It's not a complete trial balance. And because of that, it will not going to match. So very, very careful. If it is a partial trial balance, so don't be confused. If it is not matched, it will not be matched because it is a partial trial balance. So let's add the debit side, 3189. So okay, I have this one. Thank you, Seppi. So 24,389, the debit side, and 37,884, that's credit. So you see it's not matching because it's a partially prepared trial balance. Don't worry about it, it's not going to be matched. So here, nothing to understand again, just easy to mark, just adding two sides, that's it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Now, next side we have here, they say, reminder of the balances have now been extracted from the accounting records as shown below, okay? Sales ledger. This is the individual ledger. Remember, sales ledger and the purchase ledger is the individual ledger. And because of the individual ledger, I can see the name Sam and Leo and Bindi and Perry. I see the name. Now remember that individual ledger or subsidiary ledger, we never take on the trial balance. Don't come on the trial balance. Trial balance, these two will never come. Remember that. Individual balance we never take to the trial balance. We don't take anyone's name on the trial balance. No, we only take the total balance, that is sales ledger control or purchase ledger control. We don't take anyone's name. So don't be confused. So this question, sometimes the question asks takes 5 entry, 4 entry. So you only take the entry they're asking. So you can see here, sometimes the question in the exam said, take the 6th entry. And I have seen the student, they become confused, like there's a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the question said, take the 8th general ledger or take the 8th entry. And the student become confused, which one I should take? Should I take this this because there is a lot of entry. We don't take the personal or individual ledger or the subsidiary ledger. We only take the general ledger for the trial balance. Remember that. If there is other balance, we take it. So there might be other balance we can see here, petty cash and the bank overdraft. Let's read this question. It says, complete the trial balance by transferring the relevant amount to the debit and credit. Do not enter the figure with the decimal place in the trial balance. Do not enter a zero. Okay, so let's move all this information. So first write it down here in the corner so that we can move it really quick. So before that, let's do it together. Just we need to understand, is it debit or credit? The first one we have equipment hire. Equipment hire 993. Is it debit or credit? Equipment hire. If I want to hire a equipment, I have to pay the money as expense for me. So this is our debit. All the expense is debit. Very well done. The next one we have sales ledger control. Sales ledger control 19,407. 19,407. This is my debit as well. This is a credit. Customer balance is asset. Don't be confused why it was credit before, because we moved from the cash book. You need to be careful. And normally the sales ledger control always debit. Then we have capital. That is 9816. And capital is always credit. Then you have purchase ledger control. That is 14,588. 14,588. This is also credit, is a liability. Then you have a legal fee. Legal fee 781. That's my expense, legal fee. And expense is always debit. Then you have discount received. If we receive a discount from the supplier, if we received any discount from the supplier, that will be treated like income. So discount received. 73 is a credit. Drawings. Drawings is always debit. Drawings is always debit. 3250. That's my debit. Purchase 16,492. That's also debit. Purchase is expense. Then we have two other balance. We have a cash book, the bank overdraft. So bank overdraft. Overdraft is a liability. Always is a credit. 3126 credit. Then petty cash book. Petty cash book 175. This is also my asset. That's my debit. That's it. So once you can identify that, then it's not going to be difficult to complete the trial balance really quick. So we have purchase ledger control. That is here on the credit side, 14,588. Equipment hire 993. Legal fee 781. Petty cash 175. Then drawings 3250. Discount received 73 is income. Bank overdraft 3126. Purchase is 16,492, then capital 9816, and the sales ledger control 19,407. That's it. So in the exam, if this question come, all you need to do, you need to just adding the figure. That's it. All right. So the trial balance, more or less, we are very good. Hopefully, you'll get the full marks on the trial balance. So all you need to say what is debit and what is credit. The last question we have here, that is from tax number 10, 12 marks. The first question number A, this one we have from the customer account code. Let's make the customer account code. It says the first four, isn't it? First four letter and followed by the number. Okay, we know how to do it. First one is Hearthstone. We know how to do it, isn't it? So you take the first four letter F, A, heart, T, heart, and we see is there any customer name start with H. So we don't have any customer name with H, so it's gonna be 01. So you're going to say heart 01. H-A-R-T 01. Then we have a Parker printing. So P-A-R-K, Park. And we have a one customer name is start with P, two customer name with P. So that will be 0, 3. Remember, you look at the first alphabet. If you have a new customer, you don't read the full name, you just look at the first alphabet. If you already have any customer start with that alphabet, then you give the next number. So P-A-R-K-03. That's it. This is easy 2 marks. So let's move on to the next one. The next question is asking here. The next question, it's the first four, Tamir. It will be heart, isn't it? So the next question is says, show 2 action that should be taken if the customer takes a discount and pay within 10 days. So one of the customer has been offered a prompt discount and pay within 10 days. So what happened if the customer pay you within 10 days? So what you do? For example, this is the only discount we don't show in the invoice. This is the only discount, prompt discount, we do not show in the invoice. Prompt discount do not show in the invoice. And obviously, this is very important to understand. Prompt discount we don't show in the invoice because we don't know customer going to accept it or not. Customer might be paid within 10 days, or customer said, I don't want to pay within 10 days, I'm going to pay within 30 days. So it's up to the customer. So that's why we don't give this discount on the invoice. We don't show it in the invoice. Rather than what we do, we show a separate credit note. And the credit note always we give with the VAT. Remember that if the total invoice amount is 1,000 with the VAT, on total invoice with the VAT, we give prompt discount, let's say 10%. It will be £1,000 credit note. So the VAT will be always inside. So remember this thing. Sometimes they're asking, prepare the credit note for the prompt discount. So we need to separate the VAT inside from the inside figure. Okay, so watch directions. They said record 2 action, okay? Record the amount received in the cash book and the general ledger. So whatever amount we received, we need to record in the cash book and the ledger account. This is true, isn't it? We always have to record on the cash book how much we received. We record on the cash book and the general ledger. Change the amount of the original invoice. We never do that. We never change the original invoice. Remember that. Invoice is sent. We don't change the original invoice. Issue a new invoice with the new amount. No, we never issue a new invoice. The old invoice is already sent. What we do, we just send a credit note. Issue a credit note for the discount plus VAT. So these two actions we're going to take. All right, so let's move on to the next page. We have, okay, this is about the accounting equation. I hope you remember the accounting equation: asset, liability, and capital. So liability plus capital equal asset, isn't it? So whatever is the asset, basically the breakdown of liability and capital. So if I have my asset, whatever it is, and if I have a liability, if I want to find the capital, I minus it. For example, if my asset is 20, liability is 10, capital is 10. So if someone asks me, if I don't know my capital, if someone asks me how much is the capital, I say 20 minus 10, so capital is 10. If I don't know my liability, if someone asks me how much is the liability, I said asset minus capital, so 10 is the liability. If someone asks me, I don't know my asset, how much is the asset, so liability plus capital is the asset, 20. So this is the accounting equation. You have to remember these three boxes. So A is the total of the liability and capital. A is the everything. Asset is the everything. Asset means the total asset. And inside of the total asset, we have a portion of liability and we have a portion of capital. So if I know two, I can find the last one. Okay, let's do this one, asset and liability. Find the asset and liability. The first one is premises. Premises is asset or liability? Premises is like building. Premises is like a building. So premises is always our asset. Premises is always our asset. The next one, we have loan from the bank. If I take the loan from the bank, I have to pay it back. So that's my liability. Remember that. If I take a loan from the bank, I have to pay it back. That's my liability. Cash at bank. You have some money on the bank account. This is your asset. You have some money or you have some cash on the bank. This is my always asset. Fixture and fittings. Fixture and fittings is like a machinery. This is also asset. Then we have amount owing to credit supplier. So you have to pay some money to your credit supplier. That's our liability, isn't it? We have to, if we have to pay any money to anyone, like to HMRC or anyone, that's a liability. It's a liability. Amount owing from credit customer. So some customer going to pay to me. So they buy something from me on credit and they're going to pay me. So that's my asset. Sales ledger control. So we have 4 asset and 2 liability. So can we add all the asset? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So added all the asset, writing on the asset column. So we said asset 1, 5, 3, 0, 4, 9. Okay, then add the liability. We have 2 liability, 45,000 and 22, 396, 67, 396. Thank you. Thank you, Seppi. Thank you, Janos. So 67, 396. All right. And how we end up my capital? So asset minus liability is a capital, isn't it? So if I have asset, if I have a liability, if I minus it, I'll get my capital. So my capital will be how much? Asset minus liability equal capital. So capital is 85. 653. Okay. So this question will be in the exam. Remember that. Accounting equation is always in the exam. Make sure you know this formula. Asset minus liability equal capital. Don't forget that. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one, the last question is to identify what is capital expenditure, what is revenue expenditure, what is capital revenue, and what is the capital expenditure and the revenue expenditure, capital income and the revenue income, 4 things. So we already know that if any item that we're going to use more than 1 year, that's a capital if any asset we buy and expect you're going to use it less than 1 year, revenue. So less than 1 year revenue, more than 1 year's capital. And if we sell any asset that we can use more than 1 year is a capital income. If we buy any asset that we can use more than 1 year is a capital expenditure. Let's have a look at that. First transaction we have purchase, that means buy. If I buy something, money is going, isn't it? If I purchase something, money is always going. That means expenditure. No doubt is expenditure. But I want to see what type of expenditure it is. I'm purchasing a motor van. And obviously, if I buy a motor van, I have a plan to keep it for long. I want to use it more than 1 year. So is expenditure, what type of expenditure? More than 1 year, capital expenditure. More than 1 year, capital expenditure. Then the next point we have purchase stationery. Now this expenditure purchase, but you buy stationery. When you buy stationery, we think we're not going to use it more than 1 year, like a pen, pencil, rubber, a roller, then staple, this type of thing. We don't use it for more than 1 year. So we said is a revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure. Then we have purchase a train ticket. Purchase a train ticket. This one I think all of you understand. That's a revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure. Then the next one we have received. Received means income. Receive means income. And what type of income? Sale of goods. So I sell some goods and I receive the money as income. What type of income? So when I sell something, I'm expecting I'm going to receive the money less than 1 year. So it's a revenue income. Revenue income. And the last one we have, receive a check from the owner. So if the owner do an investment to the business and we assume we're going to keep the money for more than 1 year. So owner of the business, he always invests money to the business and the business hold it as long as they need. So this is our capital income. So it's a capital income for the business. Capital income. This is our capital and revenue expenditure. This question sometimes come in the exam. It's very easy. If you understand it, it's not difficult at all. So, but still you need a lot of practice. You have this question bank with you. I have sent to all of you, of course, and make sure you do enough practice for that. So this is the thing we have done. This is the last question we have. So this one you already have. There is some more question to practice. At the end of the question bank, make sure you practice as much as possible. So let's talk about now exam. So next week, Monday, I'm going to send you the email anyway. So next week, Monday, we're going to set up the exam in Barking. We'll do in the evening, Barking, 6 p.m. same times. 6 p.m. same time, Monday. We'll do mock exam. So next week it will be mock exam, Monday 6 p.m. and week after that will be final. Same day, Monday 6 p.m. So next week we'll have a mock exam. So on the computer you will do like a real exam. So you'll do the mock exam and week after we'll do the final exam. So next 2 weeks we're not going to meet. Next 2 weeks we have no class, we have exam. So first we'll do the mock, then we'll do the final. But I'm going to send you a detailed emails for that. And we'll do another exam in Park Royal as well. Park Royal, because some students, they live close to Barking. Some students, they live close to Park Royal. So obviously you can choose any of them. I'm going to send the timing for the Park Royal. I will speak to the admin team and I'm going to send you an email tomorrow, what day and what time will be in Park Royal. So next 2 weeks, there'll be no lesson. We'll have only exam, mock and final. I'll tell you what details I need from you for the exam. And yes, column, if you don't live in London, in this case, like you cannot do the mock exam, to be honest, but you can do the final exam. So you have to find a center next to you. If you go to Google and type the AAT center, then it will ask your postcode. If you enter the postcode where you live, so it will give you what is your nearest center for the exam. So you can do the exam there. And of course, Louis, if you live in Birmingham, we have a center in Birmingham for the KBM. If you just type the Birmingham KBM in Birmingham, so if you contact with them, they will help you for set up the exam there. I don't understand. What does that mean, I mean a typical exam? Mock exam, if you obviously like, mock exam will help you a lot. Mock exam always help you a lot. So make sure like you do the mock exam, because mock exam is really important. Without mock exam, if you do final, most likely you'll get failed, because you need to be used to how you do exam in the computer, how you answer the question, and it will help you to make yourself ready for the final exam. That's all right, column. So if it is because of the lockdown, you can wait until it's sorted. If you cannot do on Monday or any other day exam, I'll send you the email so you can rearrange the exam. There is no problem for that. For the timings, if you don't do any online mock exam, so obviously it has to be in the center. Yeah, so obviously, like if you live outside of London and because of any issues, if anything happens, you can do it later on. There is no problem for that. You don't have to bring anything very serious, to be honest. Only you bring your calculator and you come for exam, but you need to book your mock exam first. So I'll send you an email to write everything detailed. So you need to book your mock exam. So you have to pay for the mock exam. You have a mock fee, and the final exam. So you have to pay for that. So this one you have to pay, and you need to give your if you need to give your AAT number, you should be enrolled with the AAT. So you should have your AAT registration number. And obviously, you need to have your full name and date of birth. That's all you need for the exam. I'm going to send email tomorrow, Fatima. I'm going to write it down all detail about the exam tomorrow. I'll tell you what to do if you want to. If you cannot do on the specific day, I'll give the admin staff email. You email them, they'll guide you more. It's on the computer, Tahmina. It's going to be exactly like a real exam, so you'll do on the computer. There is no paper exam anymore. No, no, you cannot do it. So you have to wait after the mock. You need to wait another week to do the final exam. Yes, I will upload the session. Yes, whatever the revision you have done today, we can upload, so you can have a you want to see, you can see it again. That's all right. As I said, like if you cannot, if you